Today we got a small unboxing. This is a media mod for the GoPro, not made by GoPro. So really not much to the unboxing. It is a lens. As you can see, it comes in this silicone case to protect the mount and the lens itself. Popping that off, we can see right away that it's got a nice metal mount, which actually is probably a little more durable than the lens that's currently on the GoPro. If we pop off the other end, we can see we've got some textured grip, and then we've got the lens itself. Now the question is this lens good enough to utilize GoPro's Max Lens Mod at half the price? Let's check it out. So I'm outside taking Bandit for a walk. I am testing out this Max Mod knockoff to see if it does the trick. Now ultimately, as long as they've done a good job with the lens, it shouldn't be too bad. Basically because when you pull off the lens, there's nothing in there that is adjustable. All the image stabilization is done by the camera itself versus the lens. So it's all built into the camera and shouldn't be a huge deal. So my only concern with this lens is the corner of the lens itself. They tend to be a little soft, and that's not uncommon for 360 type cameras or any fisheye lens for that matter. Because GoPro is doing the stabilization and the lens is just there, I'm very curious how this will perform overall. In really rough terrain, you could see some jello effects in the corner, and that may or may not be a deal breaker. If you have high action footage going through a forest on your mountain bike, might not be such a big deal. But if I start moving the camera and wobbling it around, you'll probably see a little bit of a jello effect. Now, generally speaking, we're all not waving our arms around like that, so it's not going to be a huge deal or deal breaker. It's going to be used for footage like this, and it may just be good enough, especially if it's cropped in a little bit when you're doing your editing. One of the limitations of using the Max Mod though is that you're limited to 60 frames a second, 2.7K video, so you're not getting that full 4K, and ultimately you're gonna have to downsize that a little bit more, especially if you start getting those jello effects. So one of the limitations of this is that you are kind of stuck with the two focal lengths, 14 millimeters and 16 millimeters, both quite wide. That might be good or might be what you're looking for, but ultimately if you have one GoPro and you need to switch from this to the regular, I wouldn't recommend doing that. I would probably just stick with the regular because you don't want to get dirt inside the GoPro and get it on the sensor. That becomes problematic. But if you're like a lot of people running multiple GoPros, setting one up with this lens probably isn't a bad deal whatsoever. I know I will be using it probably on the bike. I will have one set with this lens and just kind of keep it running and knowing that I can grab it if I'm looking for certain shots. I think it will work quite well. So this little lens cap, I think it's great that they included this because anything that's got kind of a fisheye lens, always danger of getting scratched. So that's something to consider if you're going to be doing mountain biking or dirt biking or something where there is a lot of rough terrain where you may crash and this camera may hit the ground. I do like this. I know even with the road bike and the gravel bike that I'm gonna have to throw that on before I put it in the pocket. It's just another thing for me to lose. And for that reason, I will probably use this as a mounted camera more than anything else. So the beauty of this lens on the GoPro is the fact that you can have ultra stable footage no matter where your camera is orientated. And I think that is absolutely fantastic. It does away with the need for gimbals, which can get bulky, and just having this in your pocket, able to record stable footage, is absolutely fantastic. So it'll be interesting to go back and take a look at this footage on the computer to see what kind of job it did in stabilization and how clear the image is. Like any kind of fisheye lens, there are going to be distortions, which you are either going to have to accept or you're going to have to go back to shooting with a standard lens. Naturally, the further you punch out, the more distorted the image becomes. But again, a GoPro, very versatile camera in comparison to what a lot of other cameras can do. All right, guys, that is the Telesin Max Mod for the GoPro, a third-party lens for the camera. I think overall, if you are doing action sports and are hard on your equipment, this guy is probably a little bit of a bargain. I suspect if you're like me and you put these cameras through their paces, at some point this is going to get damaged, and it's just easier to swallow when it's half the price. Now, there are some things that I don't like about it, which are the softness in the corners, as well as that little bit of a jello effect that you get. But given the price and given the fact that it's probably going to get damaged, I think I can live with that. This is not going to be my primary camera lens. I'm going to stick with the regular GoPro lens for the vast majority of the vlogging stuff, but it's nice to break this out there, especially when you've got some fast action and lots of twists and turns. It's going to be good for that. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button so you get notifications, and until next time, see you.